Hey, Matt, you talk about this being a player's game. How exciting is it for you to see these kids or your players the last 3 years achieve number one and see the success that they've achieved?
Yeah, it's it's pretty exciting. It's something you never really thought about much. You're just trying to improve. You're trying to get better. You're trying to do whatever you can for your program. To me, it starts in evaluation. It starts with knowing who you're getting, just across the board. Obviously, you're going to take talented players, but I think it's more than that leads to winning. And I think our staff has done a really good job, and then our players have worked hard. You can see the time that they've put in from year to year and get better. And sometimes it's not as obvious because, when you have a good program, people are going to have to sacrifice, and they're not going to be able to play as much as they want across the board. You're going to have a handful that do, and you're going to have a handful that don't. And that's hard. That's really hard for young people to come to grips with. But if they put winning and education, ahead of things, and they understand big picture things, and now, you find some guys that are going to sacrifice and really commit to their roles, and that's how you're going to have success. And so we didn't come into this year with the goal of being number one in the country. We just, very fortunate. We could have got beat by any of the three teams we played in Hawaii. You got to keep it in perspective. A couple possessions better than one team, one possession better than a couple others. All three of those teams could have beat us. And so you got to keep things of that nature in perspective and know that we were making mistakes in those games. Just like tonight, we win by 30, but we're still making some mistakes. And keep trying to enhance the good things that you're doing and trying to fix some of the things that you're struggling with, or just get better, right? And if you have that mindset, I think you can do special things.
Matt, with coming back from Maui, Big Ten game ahead this week, this could have been an easy game to overlook. How do you feel like your team responded to that, and what does it say about your team?
I thought they were good. We didn't have long practices just because we're, once again kind of up against it, with a game on Friday, then a conference game, then another conference game on Monday. You got 3 games in 7 days, starting with this one. So, we thought it was smart. Even though we still had good practices, not go as long, and I think that can really help them. But, I thought our guys played well. I thought the difference in the game was the beginning of the second half, just kind of pushed the game out. Thought they made some, 3 or 4 shots in the first half that were really tough, that kept it at 15. And then that first 5-6 minutes, really separated us in the game. But I thought our guys were ready to go.
Matt, what was Braden's sales pitch with about 7-8 minutes to go? And on top of that, just kind of what's the balance? You want it for the player. You want him to get those achievements.
Correct.
But you want to be smart, too. How do you have to kind of balance that and realize, listen, there's a bigger thing in store?
Yeah, you don't balance it. There's nothing wrong with if he's still in the game, staying in the game. But once you take somebody out, like, you don't cheat the game. And then you're the biggest buffoon in the world if he goes back in and he gets injured. So, like, a lot of people just look at one side of a consequence. They don't look on the other side of a consequence. You've put him back in to get a trivial record, which is really cool, right? Joe Barry Carroll's the only one that's ever got a triple-double. And I want him to get it too, but not at the expense of the other coach. Like, I have a lot of respect for Coach Jones and Texas Southern. They went to the tournament 3 times in a row. I don't care if they've never won a game. I wouldn't do it. Just because, like, I've been on the other end. And a lot of times you see that in the NBA a lot when those guys go to score. Like, I'm trying to stop Will from scoring, there at the end. And, who doesn't want to get 100 points, right? Everybody wants to get 100 points, but not at the expense of somebody else. I think it's important for them. We came here to get a win and get better. We did that. So him going in and acting like he was going in, that was on him. I thought that was pretty good on his part. That was pretty cool. But I had nothing to do with it. I saw him. I'm like, hey, where the hell are you going? Like, there's a process here. You can't just do this on your own. But I thought that was pretty funny.
That stretch in the first half after they had some fouls and whatnot, they ended up going with 5 guards. Just how valuable can that be for your team to have seen that style of play there for a while? Yeah,
we've had it happen. Other night against Marquette, Zach's so different. Like, sometimes you have to guess what you think they're going to do. And you'd say, I think they're going to do this, or I think they're going to do that. One of the two things. And Marquette switched ball screens right away. And, you know, our guys made adjustments and made plays, and now they go to 5 guards here. And then, you know, Zach has to guard a guard. He has to switch ball screens. He has to get in a stance and, you know, and be a defensive guard. And I thought he did a good job. He got a couple fouls there, but, you know, I thought he did a good job. I thought our team's recognition, it's not always just on him. You know, it's our team understanding the matchup, but also keeping in mind who they're guarding. Like, you can give more help on certain people, but others you can't. So you got to keep in perspective of what he's got going on, but also what you got going on. Somebody backdoors right there, you got to go with him, and now you're not the help. So you just stay in a stance, communicate, talk, and try to help everybody. But, yeah, when anytime somebody goes small offensively or defensively, like, we've done different things, but more than anything, it's just recognition and understanding on the offensive end what you have to do and keep moving, and then defensively just stay connected and stay in those gaps.
I know March is a long way away, but can this game be a reference point if you get back in the same position you were last year? Because you could have played this team last year.
Right.
And when you talk about Zach having to guard guards,
Yeah.
is this something that you can refer to and when you get to that point?
Yeah, I think so. There was a reference points going into the game. Like, we talked about that. We talked about their success. We talked about them playing in the play-in game against Farley Dickinson. And so if they would have won, that's who we would have played. So, you know, just having that competitive fear and understanding, you know, it's different sometimes when they put 5 guards out there. They put more quickness out there, you know, with it. But our guys are really good. Obviously, you know, coming back from traveling and taking, you know, a couple days off, I think that was more of trying to get our legs under us and get a focus going into the game.
Any secret sauce here to why your team's shooting the ball so well? Anything different?
I think the right people are shooting them. I think we have a lot of good shooters. I think when you take good shots and you make good passes and make good decisions, it helps. And just like anything, it gets contagious too, right? We had a really good first half against Marquette, 7 for 9, and then to be able to go 13 for 25. You know, here it's good to see, but there's nobody out there making threes that you don't consider a good shooter. And so, like, just make good decisions, execute, and just take things in rhythm.
Oh, you guys are playing really fast so far. I mean, I'm seeing 79th in adjusted tempo. You guys were in the 300s or so last year.
Correct.
What's the right pace for you? Is this fast
Yeah.
the right pace?
You know, your opponent's going to have a hand in that too, right? But when you collect data from all games, you know, you should average out into where you're trying to gun for. Efficiency is more important than pace. Don't ever forget that. Like, there's people that, like, beat us up in recruiting one time because of our slow pace. I said, well, the object's to win the game, right? So if you win 29 games is a lot. Then I referenced, you know, 4 years ago, Virginia had the worst pace in the country, but yet they won the national championship. So you can have the pace national championship if you want. In recruiting, it gets blown up like it's the deal, like, right? Like, I thought the deal was winning. So, like, you want to play to your strengths. I think Lance helps that. We've done a better job of outletting the basketball and trying to get Braden up the court. He obviously is the cornerstone for us. But you got to dominate the glass to start with. So, like, we have one of the best rebounders in the country. We have a fast point that can really pass. We added a little bit of quickness with Lance. I think we have a couple wings in Cam and Miles that give us some more athleticism. But more than anything, just you understand 2 things. If you're going to play great teams and you're just only going to play in the half court, it just gets too hard at some point. You got to be able to steal points somewhere, off your defense and getting in transition, or off the offensive glass. So those are 2 things that we always, even though sometimes our pace isn't as good, you know, always keep in perspective that we are going to wait for Zach to get down the court at times, right? Yeah.
And then
That's a good question.
Thank you. And then what's your sense for what this team can shoot from the line, or what they should be shooting?
Yeah, like, I think we're a better free throw shooting team than we're showing right now. You know, and I think it's hard to, like, encompass everybody, right? And say our team, it really gets down to each individual guy. Like, you know, getting in your routine, staying in your routine. Don't think about hitting and missing. Get up there and do your routine, you know. And, you know, you put a lot of time into it. You work. But yeah, we didn't shoot the ball as well from the free throw line in Hawaii that we thought, we should. But we still were able, obviously, to win games. But just keep putting time in, keep working. If you're going to get 40 free throws, like that's a good day, right? Our league's very physical, and that's what you have to be. You got to be able to be physical without fouling and try to keep people off the line. Last year we had the fewest fouls in the country, and it's something that you want, right? You want to make more free throws than your other team shoots, your opponent shoots. So.
Hey, Matt. The season's early, but are there some things that kind of has surprised you or you've learned about this team that you didn't expect this year?
Not really. No. I think we have good guys. I think we have mature guys. I think we have guys that care about the game. They put a lot of time into it. We have a lot of experience. It wouldn't have surprised me if we'd have got beaten in any of those games there. I mean, obviously, I'm excited that we won all of them and we're in this position, but that's what you want. I think we have a great team, have a great schedule. A lot of people don't understand that. Like, if your team stinks, have a bad schedule. If your team's average, have an average schedule. Like, we have a great schedule, and people are like, man, you're worried that you're playing too many, good teams? Yeah. But that's what you do when you have a great team. Like, you have to prepare them. And so we haven't played a road game yet, right? But yeah, we have. We played Arkansas. It didn't count, but the experience is still the same. Anybody that was there, understands how tough of a place that is to play. And they play hard, and they're athletic, and they got a great coach. And the same's going to hold true at Northwestern, right? It's going to be a road game. It's going to be very difficult. He's a great coach. They have a great system. They have a very talented point guard. They have a lot of really good pieces. Barnheiser's become a player, on both ends of the court. But they got more than just, those two guys. They have a really good team, and they have a foundation, and they run good stuff, and they're grimy on defense. So, we're going to have our hands full.
Man, I'm going back to Braden in this triple-double thing, not to harp too much on it, but this is the third or fourth game this year where he's really kind of flirted with this. Just how rare is it to find a guy who can do all three of those and play defense as well as he does? I mean, it seems like he doesn't really have a weak point to his game.
Yeah, just trying to get him to score, and look for a shot, make the defense take it away. Because his best thing he does is deliver the basketball and pass the basketball. And if they're just playing for a pass and he's not looking to shoot, then he's kind of self-check. And we had, probably about a quarter of our games last year where that was the case. And just really tried to encourage him to be as aggressive as possible and look for his pull-up threes, look to get to the basket, and then, feel good about playing off his instincts once they take those things away. Defensively, he just getting in the right place. He sometimes the fatigue sets in, or, he gives into it and he becomes a watcher on defense. When his hands are active and he's in passing lanes and he's sticking to our rules, man, he creates havoc out there, and that's what we need. And he's instinctually just a good rebounder. You talk about his passing and his scoring, but, he just has a nose for the basketball. He's one of those guys, so we just need him to keep going.
Coach, you can kind of say that the team's been getting respect from officials with the number of fouls you guys have been drawing. How do you get the team ready for a game against Northwestern on the road, where the whistle might not be there?
Yeah, you just got to be able to play through it. If you're not going to get calls, you got to be above it. You can't get frustrated, and then it affects other parts of the game. And I think we've had enough experiences to where we've been able to fight through it. And we had some really physical games in Hawaii, really physical, and just stay with it. So I think that's the most important thing. When you have officials that have reffed him before, it helps. It really helps, because they understand the two hands in the back, the knees, jumping into him, just the difference, between a foul and a play on. More than anything. But we don't need to officiate. I need to coach and they need to play, and that's our focus. They got to do their job. I think sometimes we make it worse when we when they're fouling him every time. And then you go back and watch film, but if you get caught up into it, you don't get anywhere. Fans look at me like I'm going to get somewhere. You don't get somewhere with certain guys who ref. Now, other guys are easy to talk to. But other guys, they're not. They're going to call it the way they want to call it, and that's that. We have to adjust to them. They don't adjust to us.
Do you have a pretty good grasp at this point on where the scoring comes from after you've cycled out Zach, Braden, and Fletcher, or is that still a process?
Say that again.
Do you have a pretty good grasp now, you think, when that second unit comes in after you've cycled out Zach, Braden,
Yeah.
and Fletcher in terms of where the scoring has to come from?
Yeah. I'm still kind of working on it. I've messed it up a couple times. And it just doesn't get ideal. Somebody will get a foul or somebody will get, put themselves in a position, or you don't like a matchup defensively, and then you don't have. I'd prefer not to, play the game without Zach or Braden on the court. But sometimes how I sub, I do, And so I think, we play a lot through ball screens with him, and then we play a lot through Zach and post-ups. And so when that goes away, Trey Kaufman probably comes in there, and we try to run stuff just whether it's for a shooter or something like that. But you also can organically score just through motion and moving the basketball and just making reads and playing. So that's kind of ongoing, for us trying to kind of figure that out. But I saw where we were even when he was out of the game in the 3 games in Hawaii, when Zach was out of the game. So I thought that was, you'd like to obviously be better, but wasn't awful, right? If you're even against those 3 teams and he's not in the game, so.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.